Have you ever honestly asked yourself why you are targeting age 65 for retirement? I'm not asking why the government wants you to wait or why your HR department chose that number. I'm asking why you, personally, decided that 65 is the magic number. Here is the uncomfortable truth that most financial advisors are terrified to tell you during your annual review. 65 is not an optimal retirement age designed for your happiness or health. It is simply a bureaucratic default setting created to sustain the solvency of the Social Security system and Medicare. It is a number calculated by actuaries to ensure you contribute as much as possible while drawing out as little as possible. It has absolutely nothing to do with your peak biological years. For the high net worth families and smart dividend investors we talk to, waiting until 65 isn't just the safe standard option. It is actually the statistically riskier choice for your life. You are risking your health, you are gambling with your mobility, and surprisingly, you might even be hurting your long-term wealth accumulation by working that extra decade just to feel safe. Meanwhile, retiring at 55 often leads to superior outcomes. You get more freedom during your peak physical years, better control over your tax brackets, and often a larger estate to pass down. In this video, I'm going to break down why the standard 65 is a trap. We will look at how to build a dividend bridge to cover the gap before Social Security. My name is Dave, and welcome to the Dividend Lab. My goal is to help you replace your salary with reliable, growing dividend income so you never have to touch your principal. Let's start by dismantling the myth of age 65. Most people sleepwalk into this number because they are terrified of the penalty gap that exists between age 55 and age 59 and a half. They think their money is locked in a prison called the 401k and that they cannot touch it without the IRS taking a massive 10% cut of their hard-earned wealth. But this fear blinds them to the much more important question: what age gives you the best life? If you are an executive who loves the grind, sure, keep working. But if you are only working because you think you need the money to survive until Medicare kicks in, you're making a tragic miscalculation of your most valuable asset: time. Researchers like Michael Kitches break retirement down into 3 distinct phases. Understanding these phases is critical because your spending is not a flat line. It changes drastically as you age. First, you have the go-go years. This is typically your 50s and early 60s. Your health is high, your energy is peaking, and your desire for adventure is at its maximum. Second, you enter the slow-go years. This usually happens in your 70s. You still travel, but maybe you swap the hiking trip in Patagonia for a river cruise in Europe. Finally, you hit the no-go years. By your 80s, your world naturally shrinks. Spending on travel drops to near zero, while spending on healthcare and comfort begins to rise significantly. The problem with retiring at 65 is that you are voluntarily surrendering the majority of your go-go years to a corporation. You are trading your best decade for a paycheck you might not need. Let's look at a real-world scenario. Imagine retiring at 55. You have the knees to ski in Colorado, the lungs to hike the Alps, and the energy to keep up with grandkids. Now compare that to retiring at 65. You might finally have the time, but do you have the body? Flights feel longer, recovery takes days instead of hours, and your flexibility disappears. A subscriber recently commented, "Dave, my dad waited until 67 to maximize his Social Security. 2 months later, he had a stroke. He got the money, but he never got the life. This is the hidden cost of 1 more year syndrome. You are trading your scarcity asset, your health, for an abundant asset, money. In the dividend world, we call this a bad trade. So how do we fix this? Traditional planners will tell you to save a pile of cash and burn through it from age 55 to 65. They call it a spending bridge. I hate that approach. I don't want you to burn your capital. I want you to live off the fruit of the tree without ever chopping down the tree itself. This is where the dividend bridge strategy comes into play. It is specifically designed to get you from age 55 to Social Security without selling off your shares or eroding your net worth. The first pillar of this strategy is the taxable brokerage account. This is the unsung hero of early retirement. Unlike your 401k, this money is liquid and accessible at any age. If you have been building a portfolio of dividend aristocrats or high-yield ETFs like SCHD or JEPI in a taxable account, you have created a penalty-free income stream for your 50s. Let's say you have $600,000 in a taxable brokerage account, yielding 4%. That is $24,000 a year in pure cash flow that the IRS cannot penalize you for accessing early. But here is the magic part that most people miss: qualified dividends. In the US tax code, if your taxable income is below certain thresholds, your tax rate on dividends is 0%. That means a married couple filing jointly could potentially earn over $89,000 a year in qualified dividends and pay absolutely zero federal income tax on that money. It is almost criminal how good this is. Now, you might be thinking, Dave, my brokerage account isn't big enough yet. That is okay. We have other tools to bridge the gap without paying that nasty 10% penalty. Let's talk about the Rule of 55. This is a loophole in the IRS code that is shockingly underutilized. If you leave your job the year you turn 55 or later, you unlock your current 401k. You can withdraw funds from that specific employer's 401k plan without the 10% early withdrawal penalty. You still pay income tax, but the penalty is gone. This is your safety valve. Most people think they have to wait until 59 and a half. They are wrong. If you retire at 55 from a company like Boeing or AT&T, that money is yours to access immediately. However, as a dividend investor, I would argue you should not just withdraw cash. You should look at the investment options within your 401k to see if you can generate income. If your plan allows it, or if you use a net unrealized appreciation strategy to move stock to a brokerage account, you can transform that 401k into another income generator. Another option for the bridge years is something called 72T distributions. This is the break glass in case of emergency tool for accessing your IRA money before you turn 59. It allows you to take substantially equal periodic payments from your IRA without penalty. It is complex, and you must stick to the schedule, but it can fund your lifestyle for 5 years. But let's get back to the lifestyle philosophy. We use a process called lifestyle reverse engineering. Instead of starting with a scary number like, I need $2 million, we start with your life. What does your perfect Tuesday look like at age 55? Are you golfing? Are you gardening? Are you coding a passion project? The cost of these activities is often lower than you think. When you retire, you also purge the cost of working. No more commuting, no more dry cleaning suits, no more expensive convenience lunches because you are too tired to cook. You might find that your expenses drop by $2,000 a month simply because you aren't working a corporate job anymore. This lowers the yield you need from your portfolio to survive. Now let's address the elephant in the room: healthcare. This is the #1 reason people stay in jobs they hate until they are 65. They are terrified of losing health insurance. The Affordable Care Act, ACA, has changed the game for early retirees. And here is where being a dividend investor gives you a massive unfair advantage over the general public. ACA subsidies are based on your reported adjusted gross income, not your total wealth. You could be a multi-millionaire, but if your income comes from smart sources, you look poor on paper. If you are living off a combination of cash savings, Roth IRA withdrawals, which are tax-free, and qualified dividends, your reported income might be low enough to get massive subsidies. I have seen clients with $2 million portfolios paying less than $300 a month for health insurance because they structured their income specifically to optimize for ACA subsidies. This is why tax diversification matters. Having money in taxable, Roth, and traditional buckets gives you the levers to control your reported income and lower your healthcare costs significantly. So, healthcare is solvable. It is a line item in your budget, not a prison sentence that keeps you working. Do not let the fear of a premium cost you 10 years of freedom. Let's talk about the go-go decade leverage. When you retire at 55, you also open a window for strategic Roth conversions between age 55 and age 72 when RMDs kick in. Since your earned income from a salary drops to zero, you are likely in a much lower tax bracket. You can slowly move money from your traditional IRA to your Roth IRA. You pay a little tax now at a low rate to ensure that money grows tax-free forever. By the time you hit 75, you have reduced your tax liability and increased your family's legacy. People who work until 65 often miss this window entirely. They keep earning a high salary, stay in a high tax bracket, and then get hit with RMDs and Social Security taxes simultaneously. By retiring early, you are playing offense with the tax code. You are dictating how much tax you pay and when you pay it, rather than letting the IRS dictate it to you. Now I want to address the psychological aspect. There is a mental shift that happens when you realize your dividends cover your basic expenses. It changes your relationship with fear. When the market crashes, and it will crash, the retiree selling 4% of their portfolio is terrified. They have to sell shares at a loss to pay for groceries. That is a nightmare scenario. But the dividend retiree at 55, you don't care about the share price, you care about the dividend check. If the market drops 20%, your check usually keeps arriving in the mail. This psychological safety allows you to sleep at night. It allows you to stay retired and not panic search for a new job when the S&P 500 takes a dip. This stability is crucial for the go-go years. You want to be focused on booking your next trip to Japan, not glued to CNBC worrying about what the Federal Reserve is doing. Let's look at a case study. Meet Dividend Dave. Not me, a hypothetical Dave. He retires at 55 with $1.2 million split between brokerage and tax-advantaged accounts. Dave needs $60,000 a year to live. His portfolio yields 4%, generating $48,000. He has a gap of $12,000. Does he panic? No. He has options. He can pick up a barista fire job, working 2 days a week at a golf course because he enjoys it. That covers the $12,000 gap and keeps him social and active. Or he can tap into a cash bucket he saved up, spending down $12,000 of cash a year for 7 years, until Social Security kicks in at 62 to bridge the rest. By the time Dave hits 62, his dividend income has likely grown. If his companies raise dividends by 7% a year, that $48,000 income is now significantly higher, beating inflation. This is the power of dividend growth. A fixed pension loses value to inflation every year. A bond portfolio loses purchasing power. But dividend growth companies fight inflation for you. Companies like Johnson & Johnson, PepsiCo, or Realty Income have a history of raising payouts. This means your paycheck in retirement actually gets a raise every single year. This is why I believe 55 is not just realistic. It is necessary for anyone who wants to maximize the utility of their money. Money is a tool, not a high score in a video game. If you die with millions in the bank but you spent your 60s sitting in Zoom meetings instead of hiking with your spouse, you didn't win the game. You lost the game. The gap between 55 and 65 is not just 10 years. It is 10 years of peak health. It is 10 years of memories. It is 10 years that you can never ever buy back. Start planning your dividend bridge today. Look at your taxable account. Look at your expenses. Can you optimize? Can you purge the waste? You are likely closer than you think. Do not let the standard default of society dictate your life. Build a plan that puts your lifestyle first and uses your capital to fund it, rather than hoarding capital for a future you might not see. If you are sitting there thinking, "Dave, I don't know which stocks to pick to build this bridge safely," that is exactly what this channel is dedicated to solving for you. We focus on quality, reliability, and growth. We avoid yield traps that destroy your capital. We build machines that print money so you can go live your life. I am recording this because I want you to have the option. Even if you love your job, having the walk-away money at 55 changes how you show up to work every day. You stop working because you have to, and you start working only if you want to. That is true freedom. That is the goal of the Dividend Lab. If this video opened your eyes to the possibility of an earlier exit, do me a favor. Hit that like button so YouTube shows this to more people stuck in the wait until 65 trap. And if you want to see exactly how I would structure a portfolio to generate $3,000 a month in dividends to start your bridge, make sure you are subscribed for the next video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for trusting us with your time, and remember, the best time to plant a dividend tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. I'll see you in the next one.